Uh, Hi. How come this sounds like garbage already? What the hell? All right, well, there we go. All right, now it's good. Hello everyone. Welcome to Comicsgate Live. I am Ethan Van Sciver. I guess I'm on the air now. Let me see here. Let me pull up the chat as usual. I am going to make sure that I can get this all set up. Well, I mean, I just got done doing an old school live stream where I had my camera basically taped to what do you even call this thing? It's like an iPhone holder, and it sits comfortably over my desk, so I can actually tape things. I can aim the camera down at my desk and film what I'm drawing. And that's a handy thing too. But yeah, just readjusting and getting the microphone set up so I can do one of these live streams. This is Comicsgate Live free for all. Clint, how you doing?
Hey, thanks. I'm doing well.
Ready wonderful. Yeah. All right, so this is a Comicsgate free for all. I have Clint. Here's what I've done.
Okay.
All right, I have distributed the link to this chat pretty far and wide. Anyone who would like to be on this show, all you really have to do is just kind of ask somebody who might have the link if you can be on. I don't care if you're on. You can be on. This is Christmas, Clint.
All right. Well, I'm glad I got here first. Then it's going to get crowded.
Well, it might be. It might get crowded. It might not. I mean, people might have better things to do.
It's true.
People might have better things to do than to actually come on Comicsgate Live and promote their comics. People might have better things to do. James Hudnall might have something better to do than come on here and promote Agenda. Welcome, Ava Marie. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you for inviting me. I was on Mike Ingerhauser's stream, and I was like, Daddy Sunbeam summoned me.
Oh, hell yeah. That's right. Thanos EVS says, Ethan, can you and the chat please give me pie? Thanos EVS, by the way, boy, does that, you're exactly right. I do look like Thanos in that picture. It's fantastic.
That's an awesome name.
Yeah. Well, it's a picture of me and my face is purple. So it looks like I've already had too much pie in that. I always look like I've had too much pie, to be honest with you. No, I can't. I can't give you any pie. I don't have any. We went shopping today, and even having shopped for Christmas, everybody comes. Hi, Cecil.
Hey,
Hello.
Cecil.
Hi, Kabir Kumar.
Hail, Caesar.
Hail.
Yeah. Ian House says this feels somehow familiar. Yeah, no kidding. This is the way things used to be. Now I went out shopping today. We've got the family all coming to my house. My house is the warm center of Heart and Hearth. Is it Hearth or Hearth?
Hearth, is that right?
Hearth.
Yeah.
Andrew Huerta, welcome. Hello.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Everyone comes here. So Andrea, of course, your Aunt Andrea. First of all, she made the bacon mac and cheese today. And by the way, she did it without my knowing. Now this is going to come as a shock to some people in the chat who feel like they were entitled to see the bacon mac and cheese get made. Now Andrea knows that she is supposed to make bacon mac and cheese for people, but she's like, I'm afraid I don't. What if it doesn't turn out? I'm like, they can't taste it, honey. They just want to see. You can honestly, you can put whatever you want in it. They'll never know how it tastes. So even if you screw it up, it doesn't matter. They just want to see you do it. Well, she didn't do it. She was too psyched out. Today she did it, and she kind of came down the stairs and said, Ethan, there's bacon mac and cheese. I made it for you. And I was both overjoyed and also
It sounds delicious, I gotta say.
Well, it is. It is. But what isn't delicious about it is that the fans, the subscribers, would have liked to have seen it get made.
Oh yeah, we would have loved it. Actually, I rewatched that video of you enjoying that pie. Do you remember the one you picked up from the market?
Yeah.
Wait, well, let me you rewatched the video of him eating a pie?
That's right, brother.
I was like, I caught that word.
My videos are eminently rewatchable, Cecil. What do you mean? And let me tell you something. Yours are too. Your videos are rewatchable as well. So I want you to understand that. I would go back and watch some of your older, like when you got Dick and Comics up in Times Square.
Yes.
That's a classic.
That is a classic. I'm an underground sensation, Ethan.
Yes, you are. Well, no, you know what? Is this underground? Do you feel like Comicsgate is underground, or don't you feel like it's the mainstream? And everybody, you're probably one of the most famous Comicsgaters among the pack. I mean, wouldn't you say?
Sure. I think, yeah, I'm well known, but not well subscribed.
You're beyond that. You're beyond that, Cecil. I mean, people, they can feel you.
Everyone loves Cecil.
People don't
I
think.
just want you to say hello to me.
I don't. Cecil, will you say hello to Ava?
Hello, Ava. Merry
Oh
Christmas.
yes, there we go.
People don't feel like they need to subscribe to Cecil. That's the problem.
No, you know what? I'll get a big head, and then I won't even talk to any of you peasants anymore.
We're already worried that you're going to get there. I mean, in 2019 could see the beginning of Rockstar Monster, like Rock Monster Cecil.
I hope so.
Oh my God. I always wanted to be that way, Cecil. I mean, if you're like me, my whole goal in life, you've heard my music.
I just want you to do live streams about how you can't get me on the phone, and I won't take your calls.
Oh, that'd be terrific. Like, hold on, we're going to get Cecil in here and then not be able to get Cecil in here. That would be good. James Hudnall's in the chat. He's saying, I don't have the link. I want to come in. James, hold on a second. Let me make sure. By the way, guys, if you see something like that, if somebody wants to come in here, feel free to just give them the link. Those of you who want to come on. All right, let me see here. James Hudnall. I'm going to send this link to you because I want you to know that you're cared for, cared about. This community loves you. Well,
we should get Pan in here.
Sorry, wait, what is that name? You mean Poe?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Pan's sound effects are too good.
Comic Book Cut can't make it tonight. He wants us to know. Sketch Therapy wants to come on. I would let him come on. Let's see. I've never had him. I've never actually spoken to him. So I'm going to let him in.
You might need the timer. That's all.
Does he talk too much? Sketch Therapy, I'm letting you in, but you if I say shush, don't take it as disrespect. Just, I don't know.
Shushes him all the time.
Yeah, Sketch has a lot to say. Like, if Sketch actually sends you messages, Sketch does have a lot to say, and he is very detailed and thorough. Like, I would hire Sketch Therapy, and I know that his information, what I'd hire him for is a detailed report about something, and I would get a detailed report out of
Sketch he's
Therapy.
done all the research, everything's to T.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey.
Welcome, James Hudnall.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, James.
Thank you.
James Hudnall is the creator of a book called Agenda. All right, hang on, I'm going to put it in there, James. I got to get the link to your thing here, and James Hudnall, and then put it in the chat.
Yeah, we got funded yesterday, so we're now fully funded, and we're at 109% already, I think.
Oh, look at that. No, you're not, James. You're not. You're at 108.
Oh, well, it's close. It's really close.
We're going to get it to 109% tonight, James. You watch. We're going to make it happen.
Great.
Wow. Wait a second. I have to put all this stuff together again. Is Sketch Therapy here yet? Sketch Therapy probably got mad at me for saying I was going to shush him, and now he's not going to come on. I hope not. I hope he didn't get mad. You never know. All right, back.
He's sweet. I don't think he would.
I don't think so either.
He's wrapping presents or something.
Yeah. I still have so many presents to wrap.
I still have to buy some.
Do you really? Do you have to go? Is everyone done their shopping?
Hey, Sketch. Hey, Pan.
Hail. Merry Christmas.
Hail.
All right.
Thank you for having me on, Caesar. Merry Christmas.
Well, it's good to have you here, Panboy Lando Soy Child Dong Lover.
You usually hit it, right?
No, I can't see. Well, I'm usually reading it, Panboy. I mean, I can't
Call
really
him Po Boy.
Yeah. You just call me Poe. You can call me Poe.
I'll call you Poe. Sketch Therapy, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here.
There it is. There's his voice. Have I ever heard Sketch Therapy's voice before?
Yes, once.
Once. Was he on the War campaign or something?
Yes.
It could have been. Campaign. You've been on Doug to Naples channel too, right, Sketch?
Yes, I do go. I go there often. He lets me on. I speak sometimes. I watch the chat for him, and I'm also a wrench, so I drop his link in once in a while so that people can buy the book.
Yeah, sketch.
Sketch Therapy, you are a veteran.
Yes. I was in the 3rd Infantry, 45 Kilo. I used to fix the tanks.
You can fix a tank?
Well, not all of it.
Hail sketch.
A couple of people. I usually worked with a turret. I was a turret technician, so I used to deal with the program systems, the electronic systems, a lot of cable work, circuit boards, a lot of field work, basically all the regular infantry stuff.
That is damned impressive. That is really impressive. Sketch Therapy, have you heard stories about people who steal tanks and then drive them to McDonald's and then they get in trouble for it?
I've seen videos.
Yeah.
I've seen videos. It never ends well, never ends well.
I wouldn't think so. How fast can a tank go anyway? If you took it out on the highway?
On the highway, I don't know. It could do about 40, 45.
Wow,
I think, yeah, that's about
Pretty
it.
fast
Well,
for a
you're not
tank.
really
It's
supposed to take it. You're not really supposed to take it that fast. And on the sand, if you're going, 20, it feels a lot faster.
Yeah, some people in the chat are saying it can go 55 to 60. I'm talking about on the highway, though.
Yeah, you're not supposed to take it that fast. You're not. You're really not supposed to do that. It has a governor in there that doesn't, makes it not go that fast. But I was basically specialized in the turret. We do have other people that specialize into everything that's under the turret. That's where the engines are. These are jet turbines.
Mm-hmm.
So they go pretty fast, and they need like a governor to control all that power when it goes to the tracks.
The other thing I want to ask you, have you fired a tank?
No, we don't. I fixed the. No. I don't know how they break.
You never got a chance
those
to.
Tankers, they're the ones. No. They don't let us do that. No, I've been in the tank. I stick to the turret. That's what I did most. It was just, I was basically a mechanic, but what I dealt with was more of the electronics and the hydraulic system, because it's a very, it's kind of a complex hydraulic system. That's what I was pretty much doing.
All right. So here's the last part of my question to you. Now, you are an expert on tanks. It's Christmas time, and I am a firm believer in the Second Amendment. All right. I think you are too. All right.
Amen.
Okay.
I think it's a human right. I think self-defense is a human right that our Constitution upholds.
I do agree. I've always said, look, the basic fundamental of the Second Amendment is law of the jungle. If there were only sticks around, if we were in the jungle surviving, all right, and it was me and Sketch Therapy, and Sketch Therapy wanted the chicken that I caught and killed, and I plucked and cleaned, okay, and I have a plucked, killed, and cleaned chicken, and Sketch Therapy wanted that chicken for me. He could pick up a stick and he could beat me with the stick, and take the chicken away from me. It is my right to also pick up a stick to defend myself. If he's got a stick, I get to have a stick too. I plucked, no offense, Sketch, but I plucked this goddamn chicken. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I would completely agree with you.
Caesar's chicken, hands off.
Ethan, when you guys are fighting over that thing, I'm eating that fucking chicken.
You guys didn't even notice. He already snagged it.
You've been set away. So this is the principle of the Second Amendment. Okay, so if somebody has a capability to get a stick to hurt me with it, they can. Then I have an equal right, obviously, law of the jungle, to get the same stick to be able to defend myself. But then the same thing goes with guns. If somebody has guns, if somebody has a gun, and people do have guns, of course I have the right to defend myself. I have the right to have a gun. It doesn't have to be a musket. These weirdos, these SJWs who talk about that's civil war. No, it doesn't matter. If this were the Middle Ages and guns didn't exist, it would be swords. It would be whatever the weapon du jour is, whatever people are using to attack each other, to I don't know, to dominate one another. That's what, that's my right to have a weapon to protect myself from Sketch Therapy's tyranny. and he's trying.
Well, a lot of the revolutionary cannons were also civilian owned, so it wasn't limited to just hand cannons or muskets.
Well, that is true. So that's what I wanted to ask you. Is it my right to have a Sherman tank? Now, I can't. I know what they say. They say that you should only have the weapons that you need for self-defense. Imagine this scenario. Sketch.
Well, that depends on defense, because when they wrote it, they were trying to defend themselves from a whole country.
Right. So what I'm saying is
I believe you should have your Sherman, but you're going to understand you're not going to be the only one. So you might have to face a couple of Germans.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, look, here's the situation, because you should be able to arm yourself for any situation in which tyranny might be imposed upon you. Now, what if a bunch of rogue police officers come at me with a police helicopter, and I need to shoot that helicopter down? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's a tough situation. You're going to need at least a 50 cal.
Okay.
Or unless you got really good aim, but
like Rambo
and the rifle.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just saying,
an M60. An M60 might work.
Right. Now I understand. The people say, look, landmines, you can't have them because they're indiscriminate. You really do need to have a weapon that you can aim and fire, so that you can discriminate against targets. That's the whole point. You have to be able to, without with doing the best you can, just eliminate the immediate threat to you. So I'm saying police helicopter, it has been taken over. Okay. It's been hijacked by rogue police officers, members of the government who have gone awry. Okay. This is the definition of tyranny. Mm-hmm. They're coming at me and they're firing like G.I. Joe lasers at me. You know what I mean? What would they be firing?
You could also have 5 or 10 drones to shove into their turbine so the helicopter falls.
Well, now you're thinking on your feet.
Nice.
Rokabir, what is your opinion of this conversation?
I think it's great. I think you got to defend yourself. I mean, you got women and children. You tell me. I mean, you want to be locked in a room with a bunch of pervert degenerates? You tell me. Look online. Look on Twitter. That's who we're up against.
I don't want to be locked in a room with pervert degenerates. I've made that clear time and time again.
That's right.
Ethan, nowadays, if you really want to hurt someone, you attack them on Twitter.
With an Abrams tank? Hurt
feelings.
Yeah. I want to
them like words hurt more than anything else.
Yeah,
like...
they'll be in that. They'll be up in that helicopter, and they'll get the message, and then they'll be demoralized.
Yeah, you just yell at them in the helicopter, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm taken down."
One well-placed microaggression is all you need.
Call it a cut the copter, and then they'll just be like, call it off.
Red User 1 points out that I sound like an idiot. Do I want a nuke? Where did I say? Listen, if I have to defend myself against a third world country, and they put me in a self-defense situation, yeah, I would want a nuke. But I don't foresee that happening. I think what I am saying is more likely police helicopter. I don't know how many Samuel L. Jackson movies that you've seen. I've seen quite a few, and I'm not going to fuck around. I'm going to be prepared. Is that fair, James Hudnall, or no?
Well, the key is you got to know if those are rogue cops in that helicopter, because if they aren't, you really made a mistake.
No, I know they've come by. I've seen them in the movie. They've come by. They've harassed my family.
Right.
They pretend to be protecting my home, like in Home Alone, but they're secretly.
They tell you. Yeah.
You just know the guy looks like Joe Pesci from Home Alone. He's not. It's a lot of bullshit, but I know what's going on. So, in this scenario, James, I'm 100% sure that I'm right. 100% sure.
Well, first of all, I'm also a veteran. I'm an Air Force veteran. I used to guard nuclear weapons, and so I was also trained in anti-terrorist combat and everything. I would concur with him that M60 or 50 cal would be like good. Some kind of depleted uranium would be nice. Mm-hmm. Shells, but but the drone thing I think is a great idea, and they get more sophisticated all the time. It basically something that would take out their capabilities is always better.
You could also have like a large amount of small drones.
What's that?
Bullet in each. You could also have a large amount of small drones.
Yeah, you could have drones that also fire like mini missiles.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Strap a Beretta to a drone.
Or
What's
yeah,
going
or
on,
have the
Ethan?
drone
What are you
drop
trying to do?
grenades on them. Like have the drone fly above it and drop grenades on it.
By the way, Gateway into Comics is here. Hi, Gateway into Comics. I just saw you showed up. How are you?
Hey, Gateway.
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
Good. Good to have you.
Good, man.
Sweetcast, is this a reasonable discussion to be having in this day and age? Is it better to be prepared, or is it better to let people know that you are harmless? You mean them no harm. I mean, where would you stand on this?
I'm definitely pro Second Amendment. I'm really in favor of concealed carry. I think that is that's the way to go.
What about open carry?
Open carry. I mean, like where it's legal, that's fine. I don't think it's very wise though. I mean, you're advertising it. I don't know. Concealed carry seems. I don't know. You're losing an advantage if you're open carry.
Well, I mean, maybe not. You're letting people know. The way I look at it is, you're letting people know that, hey, you're safe because I'm here to protect you, right? Or are people scared of me?
I don't know. I guess their eye is on you. I don't know. Like I don't have any problem if someone else does it. For me personally, I wouldn't be. I'm not an open carry guy.
Around here, people steal your gun. They will just put a gun on the back of your head and just take your gun.
Yeah.
Oh, how about that? Yeah, that's a possibility.
I think if I lived in the States, I would definitely do open carry, and I'd get my wife and my daughter and my mother as well to be trained.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah, as a native Texan, I can definitely say that I absolutely love this place. I love Texas so much, and part of it are the gun laws. But my philosophy, I guess, when it comes to this, if everyone knows that everybody else is capable of having a firearm and using a firearm, then everyone around them seems to be a little bit more respectful.
The saying
it's an equalizer, right?
The saying is, an armed society is a polite society.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And also, I picture Rose's minivan with his kids and looking like something out of Mad Max with his wife and daughter on the roof.
Yeah.
With war paint on.
Yeah.
But think about it like this, right? I mean, you got women, and they're talking about having rights now. All right, fine. Well, what's better than having the right?
They're just talking about it now.
Recent news.
Well, I saw them in that Red Dead Redemption, right? I mean, you saw them. They were feeding the feminists to the alligators. Yeah, but think about it, right? You want to equalize men and women, give women arms.
I've said that all along. I have always said, the truth is that women and people who are normally defenseless should be the ones who respect and embrace the Second Amendment the most. Now, none of this helps me with my Abrams tank. Now, here's the thing. I live in New Jersey. In order to get a concealed carry, and by the way, I would agree to conceal carry my tank. I don't know how. I mean, I guess I put a big refrigerator box over it that made it look like a Chevy Suburban. I'm not sure how you conceal carry an Abrams tank, but I'd figure it out. And I would, I have to go to the police, the sheriff's office, and I have to convince him that I need it. So it's New Jersey. It's a blue state, it's a very, very blue state. I am planning, I would like to take sketch therapy with me to make the argument.
I'll fix it.
Well, not to
make the
fix
argument.
it, to make the argument to the sheriff that,
that you should both be locked up.
Sketch is the man for the job for sure.
Well, I'd say you're going to be a voluntary, police officer for them, and if they need rises, well, they got a tank on their side. All they have to do is ring a dial and call you.
People are saying bad things in the chat. People like, you want to conceal an Abrams tank, put it behind Gale. That was the worst joke, but Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all of you. Wow, there it is. Wow.
Yeah.
James Hudnall.
I hope Gail can find some lime Skittles to make her holidays brighter.
James Hudnall is here. Welcome, James Hudnall. I want to just talk about your book for a little bit, if you don't mind. Now,
that'd be great.
You agree? You agree to talk about your book with me? All right. So I just put the link in the chat. We haven't done this in a while. By the way, we need to do this summer again. We should just have or maybe spring. We just start to do more telethons and we support new Comicsgate projects. At that point, I think almost everybody will have their comics out. you know, from 2018. So that will be a good thing. And maybe we'll do this again. But James has just started. I mean, James Hudnall. James, how long have you been working in comics?
About 32 years, going on 33.
A long time. What was your first comic?
It was Espers, which came out from Eclipse, and I did it with David Lloyd, who's famous for V for Vendetta. So he and I worked together on that. He was my first comic pro that I worked with. And I was able to get artists like Brian Boland and John Bolton and people like that to do the covers, which was really great.
Yeah, by the way, David Lloyd. So did David Lloyd design that mask that Antifa wears?
Yes, that's from the comic V for Vendetta. He designed that mask.
How does that make you feel? Do you feel somewhat responsible for Antifa?
No. But I asked him about how it, you know, what he feels about it. And he said that, you know, it's just strange. It's just one of those things that it just you know, they just sort of grabbed it. They just started using it. Actually, I don't think that's Antifa, though. That's more like Occupy was using it.
Yeah, Anonymous, I think.
Anonymous.
Yeah,
all right,
Anonymous.
So are you willing to say you're sorry to the crowd that's here watching now? There's 751 people now who are now concerned about how you started the Occupy Wall Street movement, which led to Antifa.
Well, it has nothing to do with me because I had nothing to do with V for Vendetta. That was Alan Moore.
Not only is he the Zodiac killer, he's
just
also
own it, James.
It's time to take responsibility for what you've done to society. Now, if you could just apologize here and now. We are not SJWs. Apologies actually are well taken by this crowd. Please, what I want you to do is first I want you to apologize for creating Antifa. Okay, that's the first thing, and then I want you to disavow Antifa. Go.
You gotta cry. You gotta cry.
I'll be happy to disavow Antifa because I'm totally against Antifa, but I would never apologize because
you don't regret it. Because
this guy's worse than John Kasdan. I can't.
Because this is all very shocking, James. This is shocking. Now, James's agenda, even though James created Antifa, he's also created an agenda: superheroes with a purpose. Tyranny and injustice have new foes. Governments will not approve. What is this about, James?
Well, the title comes from the fact that everybody has an agenda. But what if, for some reason, suddenly like 6 people appeared on the scene that have the ability to change the world? They have powers to do that, but they all have different agendas, and they're all operating under their own personal aegis. You know, they're looking to fix what they see as wrong with the world. So eventually those people will come into contact and conflict with each other. They don't know each other initially. They're from different parts of the world. So it's sort of like a realistic take on superheroes in like a real world exploration of what are the consequences of trying to change things. Everybody thinks they have good intentions, but do they? And that's one of the things that I explore in this story. And it's sort of a mystery because part of the mystery is how did they get these powers? How did these people come about? Because they sort of just appear on the scene. And they are unrelated, or they seem to be unrelated. They don't seem to know each other. But, you know, all of a sudden they're appearing and they're causing problems for the powers that be because they're all working against the interests of power, you know, of the power of the time. You know, one of them goes after corruption in government. So he exposes the corruption, and another one is going against crime in his neighborhood. And so they all have different things that they're going after, but they're upsetting a lot of apple carts. And that's part of the fun, is watching how somebody with good intentions might be making tons of enemies that are unexpected. So I don't have like supervillain enemies. It's more complicated than that, and it's kind of more nuanced. But anyway, it's going to be a fun book.
Everybody seems to think it's going to be a fun book. The criticism is coming in that they would like thicker female characters. Now your female characters, by the way, this looks like a woman.
I like the way they look.
I do too. Let me explain something. I do too. I'm just talking about what they're saying in the chat. This looks fine to me. James, your characters actually look like women.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's more like Matt Cousins' design, so you can talk to him about that. But I mean, yeah, I just and I try to make my stories about people, so I'm not like into just like creating these trope characters. I'm more into like people that are like more developed psychologically and more interesting, more fleshed out as characters.
Yeah, I can tell. This artwork looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, I think what people need to understand is that James Hudnall is an old school pro. I mean, he actually has written many, many, many comic books. He has worked with the creator of X-Files to do a TV show called
Harsh Realm.
Harsh Realm. Yeah, and you've been in the comic book industry for a long time. Also, I will say, the artist here is top effing notch. This guy looks like he belongs with Brian Stelfreeze. He looks like he belongs in that whole class. This guy can draw beautiful women. He draws. Look at the variety in the faces of these men. By the way, fantastic. And you are fully funded. Look at this.
Yeah, he just did that. That is sort of a celebration piece for the fact that we got funded.
Magnificent. I don't know. This is the kind of book that needs to be. I think it needs to get the support of Comicsgate because it just looks professional. What are these idiots going to say about this? This is what you have to understand. Me and Cecil deal with this every single day. Every single day, we have to put up with these weirdos on Twitter who are just like, yeah, your comics aren't as good as the mainstream. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? The mainstream right now sucks. Most of the stuff that's coming out is a disgrace. It's an insult to people's intelligence. They are not.
One of the reasons. Oh, I agree with you. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this is I'm just like offended by what they call comics now, like from these companies. I want people to enjoy comics again because they're expecting us to pay like $5 for a comic and yet they don't give us our money's worth and if they insult us with what they give us. I want people to pick up a comic and really love it and look through it with, like just go every page is something that you're into. Because I remember what it was like when I was a kid and I was reading comics and I was, just blown away when I turned the page and stuff. That's what I want people to experience.
I think this comic looks amazing. And I think the thing that would be different that other people like SJWs, wouldn't like is the fact that it isn't going to be a hive mind. Because if you have all these different perspectives within your story, and that's not what they would want. So I'm really excited for this.
I appreciate that. Well, as far as I'm concerned, they are the minority. We're normal people. The normal people are the majority, and I'm just making comics for regular people. Those people, they can have their little pathologies all they want. I don't care. I'm not, they can be offended all they want. I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do, and that's not going to change. And I feel that we have to just stand up for what we believe in and do what we believe in and do the best we can because we're the ones that need to help the industry recover from this horrible takeover of all this mindset. We need to show that there are comics for everyone and make it an appealing industry again.
Comics are for everything, and the only reason here's the ironic thing about the title of your comic is that there is no agenda except to tell a good story. Whereas, these people these SJWs have taken over the comic book industry. This is why things aren't selling anymore. Their entire agenda is to change characters to take out the white male heroes and villain characters that we've all grown up with and loved, and replace them with two-dimensional flat characters that are, I don't know, for purposes of diversity. The whole reason to do that is entirely for diversity. It's diversity for diversity's sake. There's no inspiration behind any of these characters. There's no motivation to tell fair or interesting or compelling stories with these characters because, as you know, social justice warriors are not like you, James. They're not like you. They don't care about these characters. They don't care about the stories. If they take Wolverine and replace Wolverine with a woman, is that woman ever going to be a flawed character? No, because she's a whammon. She's perfect in every way. They're trying to tell you something about whammon. They're trying to tell you respect them because they have claws and they're going to tear your guts out. If they replace Captain America with a black man, which they have done, or is Captain America, the black version, ever going to have any problems, difficulties, anything that he can't overcome, any personal foibles? No, of course not, because to SJWs, that would suggest that there's something wrong with black people. They are a scourge. They are anti-creative people. And the comic book industry is suffering under the burden of their takeover. So can we fix it, James? I don't know if we can fix it, you and I. And
I think we can. I'll tell you why. Because those companies, what you define is all because of corporations. Corporations are just kowtowing to this nonsense because they think that's what the youth want. The youth, however, that they're targeting don't even buy comics. So like they're targeting people that aren't even interested. They're not going to be customers. One of the first things you learn in the business world is, like I've done sales before, and one of the things you learn is that you don't bother wasting your time trying to sell somebody that's not interested. You focus on the people that will spend money and not on the people who won't spend money. And that's something the industry should know. And they should, this industry has been really dysfunctional the whole time I've been in it. But I'm telling you, the reason that we will win is because we're like inventing a new industry. You know, the old industry is dying. And I've seen this before because when I started, the industry was dying, and then the direct market was invented. You know, that was around the time I started getting into it. So I mean, now we're at a point where the old structure is dissolving, and it will be rebuilt into something else. And we're the ones that can do it. We can change things, and we can make a better industry.
So do you think? So do you think that the way about going about this is because of right now? They're not listening, you know, and they're just targeting whatever they think is diversity, even though diversity has been in there for years. So do you think pretty much the way to go about it is by not buying what is that they're selling and just only buying back issues and supporting anyone that is, you know, like you and other creators, like even Cyberfrog and other things like that instead?
Well, that's what's happening. It's happening because people are supporting us. They're not supporting them. That's the key, is that the attention is going to us. That's why they're so upset, and that's why they're constantly trying to tear us down, because we're what people want, and we're answering the fans. We're giving the fans what they want. The industry is not giving fans what they want. That's the whole point. And you know, when that happens, when an industry fails to give people what they want, they're going to go somewhere else. So we can give them what they want.
It's not the hot dog. It's not the hot dog stand's job to fix McDonald's. They just sell their hot dogs.
That's correct.
Right?
Yeah, people keep saying, yeah, I'm so sure Comicsgate is ever going to fix the comic book industry. Well, we don't want to. We don't mean to. It's not in our interest to fix the problems that these people create for themselves. What we need to do is we need to see an opportunity. We see a customer base that is being underserved and not served at all, and we need to serve them and make money and succeed in doing so. That's what we should do as creators for the consumers that are Comicsgate.
Absolutely.
So that's what this is. I mean, this looks like a rock and roll superhero book. Obviously, this thing looks great. You are at $8,908 right now. I would love to see you get to 10,000. I think Comicsgate for Christmas, it would be great if you guys got together and helped support this. Buy a copy of Agenda Superheroes with a Purpose. Back this campaign. Let's have another success. I have said over and over again that we at Comicsgate, you know, if you come to this community and if you ask this customer base to support a comic, you will succeed. You will be successful, and you've already succeeded. But I would like to see this campaign get to $10,000 and beyond. I think that would be fantastic.
I just like that Centurion there with the M60.
Do you see that thing? Look at that. I just noticed that.
Yeah, his name is
Rokavir Kumar. Oh, King Victor.
Hey, quick question. When is your deadline for ordering?
You can order now, but I mean, you can keep, even when the book comes out, we're going to have a print on demand so that you can get copies. But the initial campaign, the people who buy perks now, they will get special covers you can't get after that, after the cutoff. Then you can still buy the book, but the special covers you will not be able to get outside.
When's the special coverage deadline?
Oh, that would be in the end of February.
Okay.
You get some time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I know with the holiday season, I want
Yeah.
to get to it, but I won't be able to after Christmas.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was worried about starting it when I did, but I had to, unfortunately, just logistics reasons. But
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah.
the thing is this is running. This is in demand, so it's going to be running all till through February.
Sweet. Thank you very much.
Magnificent. Yeah, guys, support this comic. Tiberius Caligula Nero says America is eternally lost to the NPC Ebola. Goodbye. Well, that's a negative way to look at it. I don't. I'm not sure that that's the case. I think none of us. I honestly don't think anyone's changed. I think these NPCs are loud. I think they have found a great strategy, a way to silence people, a way to scare people. But normal people are still the majority.
Yeah, so it's what it is social media. Social media has created a false impression of that they have any power. They're just the loudest and noisiest because social media companies focus on those people and they ban conservatives. They try to shut down the voice of anybody who's normal, and they just want to push the one agenda that they're trying to push. That's part of the problem. The media and the social media companies are basically trying to silence any voices that they don't agree with. But, you know, here's the thing. The culture is shifting against them, and those companies are all going to be in jeopardy soon. And they're going to, you know, have to be nice to people because they're going to get antitrust things come down on them. And it'll happen. Watch, in this coming year, it's going to happen.
I feel that way. I'm starting to sense a whole shift happening. Where social justice warriors are kind of screeching to a halt. I think people have genuinely started to realize and catch on to their bullshit. And it's not, you know, people. Here's the thing. I mean, we can shame them. We can show them for what they're doing. We can already see. I mean, initially when social justice warriors took over comics and video games and Dungeons and Dragons, listen, it took a while for the results, for the feedback to come back, but the feedback is in now. The comic book industry is in scary decline, and everyone is in denial about it. These comic book stores are closing down big time, and you know. What's going to happen? What are these people going to do? These people who are locked into a mainstream comic book company industry that depends on the direct distribution model to get their books to stores in order to pay for printing and pay for production costs. They're in real trouble, whether they know it yet or not. And I think 2019 is going to be an alarming year for them. It's going to be pretty cool for us, though.
Yeah, it's like. I think there's, you know, the industry is going to have to go through a tough shakeout, but it's happened before. I've seen it happen a couple of times. I remember when there was like a whole bunch of distributors and they all started going out of business. And that was around the time I started is when distributors started dying off. And, you know, it's just the industry goes through these revolutions, and it's just a shift, but a paradigm shift, but it happens every 20, 30 years, you know, and, it's just, we will, because I remember when I wanted to get into comics initially, in the late 70s, when I got out of high school, it was like the industry was collapsing and DC was going to go straight to reprints. They weren't going to publish any new comics anymore. They were just going to print reprints, and Marvel was in massive trouble. And then, you know, the Superman movie was a big hit. And then all of a sudden, you know, like Frank Miller and Chris Claremont were doing these comics that were exciting people. And that sort of helped revitalize the business. And, you know, we need to be the new wave of people that are exciting people about comics again, because we have that power. We have the talent and we have the knowledge, and we can do it. I believe we can.
Very well said.
I
They
agree.
could go back to reprints and just not publish anything new and say, well, it didn't work. We tried, guys.
Oh, by the way,
they're already...
I'm going to be interviewing Mike Barr on my YouTube channel, which is Esper999, or James Hudnall. You can search on that. Anyway, Mike Barr knows a lot about this comics thing about them going to reprints, because he was working at DC around that time. So
where is he? Bring him in here. Where's Mike Barr?
Yeah, he's not a computer guy, so I'm sort of handholding him, getting him onto like chat. I was trying to get him on the other day, but I'm going to get him on, and we're going to once he gets a little more confident, then we can get him to talk, because he's got a lot of great stories. You know, he's worked at DC for like an incredibly long time, and he knows all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
he's a great guy, and I mean, he'd be an interesting person to talk to.
Well, not as interesting as you, James, because not only did you create Antifa, but you also, it is alleged, were, and I say were, I don't want anybody to give you a hard time over this. You were the Zodiac killer in the late 1960s. We actually proved that both times that you were on. Are you ready to admit that, or are you still saying that that's not true?
Well, we're going to have a Zodiac killer alternate cover you can get.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you can draw it. Yeah. You can be the guy that draws it.
James, I will draw it. What I will do is I will put all of the evidence that you are the Zodiac killer. And by the way, when we say Zodiac killer, you killed a few people, but a lot of people survived the Zodiac killer's attack. He didn't really do a very good job. Like, he wasn't very complete.
It was a bad shot.
Yeah, like there were a lot of people who were still around. Like, I think he's got like 2 survivors who actually lived through. So he killer, you know, James, not so much. I mean, he killed a couple people. But you did do some really cool stuff. You, as the Zodiac killer, put a lot of ciphers in newspapers that some of them are still undecoded to this day. Have you looked at those recently?
Well, Ted Cruz has stolen my thunder, so I can't really get into that.
Oh. By the way, somebody's pointing out that Cecil is being very, very good in the chat right now. Cecil, are you all right?
I'm doing fine. I'm sipping on a glass of rye.
Oh.
I'm doing good. Also, I was accused in the late 70s of I was neighbors with David Berkowitz, and to have fun with him, I would pretend to be the dog and talk through the wall to him. And we had a good time, and we thought it was funny, but he took it too far.
Yeah, he did.
A lot of these people are weirder than me. They're very sick people, but we took it too far when we told them to you know, let the gutters run red with the blood of the of sluts and stuff. We should have. Yeah, we should have pulled it back at that point. But
that was your mistake. That was yeah. I hear you.
I spent too much time.
Lesson learned. That's all I have to say.
I spent too much time hanging out with the Hillside Strangler and the Night Stalker back then. So that's why I didn't get as many people as I should have.
This is kind of a confession. It's a little bit of a confession here tonight. Very, very good. James Hudnall is the creator of Agenda, Superheroes with a Purpose. He's a writer who's been in this business. He's been writing comics, big comics, for 35 years. Is that true, or did I push it too far? How long?
It's close to that. It's getting there. And since 85, I got in the business in 85.
Do the math for me real quick. I suck at math.
33 years.
33. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I can always count on Clint. Like, he's with the facts. He's right there.
He's your calculator.
He is. All right, 33 years. That's a long time. And so you've seen the industry from the inside for a long time. You've seen changes. You've seen shifts. Have you ever seen so many people so scared before? Maybe you have.
Kind of. You know, there's just too many people in comics that are just like blind to reality. I mean, just they don't understand reality when it's hitting them in the face. So it's hard. I think a lot of the fear in the industry is they're more afraid of losing their jobs. I mean, people in like editors and people like that. And that's why they toe the line with this ridiculous nonsense, because their bosses are telling them to do this. And so there's so much virtue signaling going on now with these people, and they just sound like a bunch of parrots. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and it's boring. That's the thing. I'll tell you, the biggest problem with them isn't how bad their books are, it's just how boring it all is. Like, who cares? That's, you know, we have the ability to be exciting and interesting. And, you know, we don't really need to care about them. We both decided, because I worked it for DC and Marvel. I worked for them for years. But you know what? I just decided I'd rather do it myself, which has always been pretty much my attitude. And you're doing the same thing. And you know what? We can, because we don't need permission to do what we want. We can just do it. And that's the way it is. And we have the tools now to do what needs to be done to do great comics. We don't have to rely on them. We don't have to beg for attention. You know, back in my day, a lot of people I knew, they would go to New York every couple of times a year to just hang around the offices and try to pick up work and kowtow to editors and stuff like that. I never did that. I always followed my own path. I've actually never been to DC or Marvel's offices because I was, you know, I just wanted, yeah, and I'm sort of like a, what's that?
I did all the time. I was a kid's ass. We would show up there with cookies, you know, and just for editors, and just, you know, early on when we first started working there, we'd bake them stuff and hey, how you doing? It's the Van Skivers. And that's, you know, early on. Oh yeah. You got to show your face at those offices until you get yourself a steady gig.
Yeah, well, I just for some reason I was lucky and I got a lot of work initially and then I just ended up going off. I tell you, I was kind of turned off by the culture of Marvel and DC at that time. In the late 80s, early 90s, I just there was a lot of stuff I didn't like about it. It's sort of like when you go into comics and you have this idea what it's like, and then you finally see what it's like, and you see what the sausage factory is like and how it looks when this sausage is getting made and stuff. You sort of, it has an effect on you, you know. At least on me, I just sort of like was kind of shocked by some things that they were doing and their attitudes. Their attitudes just really bugged me, and I decided, you know what, I'd rather follow my own path and do what I want to do. And even though it's a much harder road, it's a lot easier now than it was then. You know, now we have a lot of tools like crowdfunding that allow us to do this. But back then it was like a scary road to take. But you know what, I did it anyways because I just rather keep my self-respect than just let them, you know, kind of push you around and just use you up and then throw you to the side like they do to so many creators. I mean, I've seen too many good people that go into the industry and they work there for years. And then when the industry decides they don't need them anymore, they just toss them aside. You know, people that are still good, that are still excellent.
I've said that all along. I've said guys like Alex Saviuk, you know, there are all these dudes out there that used to work on like Spider-Man, like big books, and they're not finding work in the mainstream anymore. And yet you want to revitalize the independent comic industry. Right now, you snatch these guys up and let them do what we're doing.
Yes.
You know, these guys know how to. Diversity Comics did a great couple of videos the other day. He did a video about the John Wick series. He's a big John Wick fan. He was reviewing a new issue of John Wick. He's like, these comics are made by people who don't understand how to do comics. You know, all through the 70s and 80s and 90s, a shorthand, a method of storytelling was developed by professionals who learned how to do comic books quickly. Now, if you have to do comic books quickly, there are ways to do it. These guys are professionals and they can't get work anymore. They're not working in the mainstream. You know, they can't do it. And yet we're just hiring people right off the internet, right off a Tumblr, whose artwork looks like it belongs in airplane, you know, how to buckle your seatbelt manuals, and it's really depressing stuff. They're tracing computer generated models now, rather than actually putting your heart and soul and discipline into learning how to draw.
My daughter read the X-Men from 1991. Chris Claremont. Yeah. So she was rereading that, and I mean, so I opened it up with her just yesterday. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, just action, nonstop. It just keeps moving. The story, it's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. These people are pros. They know how to tell exciting comic book stories, and at this point, you know, those people are not being invited to tell comic book stories. They can't find work because everyone's looking for the next. They're not. I don't even think they're looking for the next big thing. I think they're just looking for people who will do it cheap and will shut up.
That's part of it, and I think, and there's some weird perverse thing where I feel like they're almost trying to destroy comics. It's like they're trying to destroy fun for anyone that wants it, and they're trying to destroy like the industry was catering mainly to males, young male, you know, men from the age of like 20 to 40 or whatever, and they don't want those people to have fun anymore. So they're trying to destroy everything they love. So games and comics and movies are trying to just didn't destroy them. And you know, just like you talk about Star Wars and this crap that goes on in Star Wars nowadays, it's almost like there's a conspiracy to destroy our culture or something. And it's just I mean, if anyone who's ever read my comics knows that I have always had diversity in my comics because I just want to write interesting characters and interesting people. But you see, I didn't do it diversity. I did it way before anyone else did. I mean, well, generally speaking, because I just wanted interesting characters that look like the world, but I didn't do it because I wanted a black guy and an Asian guy, etc. I just did it because I wanted interesting characters. And now they just do it for the race reasons. They only want like a black guy to write a black comic book and a gay woman to write a gay comic. You know, it's ridiculous. First of all, it takes an understanding of human beings to write about human beings. You can't just hands a job to somebody who doesn't understand people and doesn't understand how the world works. Those are not the people you want creating stories, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that what it is that at this point, these editors, these people really get off on. At some point, somebody said, you know what? I'm going to make an announcement to the media that we have hired our first black female to write comics or something like that.
Yeah,
something like that happened, and they got some media attention and realized that felt better than actually producing good, like great comics every month. It feels better to get attention like that, cheap attention for how wonderful you are and brave you are for hiring a person of color or a minority of some sort or some. I don't know what they have a victimhood hierarchy.
No, you're right. It actually started in the 90s where they realized that if they killed off Superman or if they broke Batman's back, that they would get headlines in New York Times or places like that. So then they just became addicted to sensation. And when they ran out of that, they had to find something else that would interest the media. So the media just loves, stories about diversity and stuff. So we have to have a homeless character. We have to have a handicapped character. We have, they just had to check off every box and to get attention. So it's just really, a lot of it is clickbait. But it doesn't work in the world that we live in the stories. It ultimately has to be about stories that people care about and characters that people care about. It doesn't matter if they have, like if you look, they had handicapped characters and black characters and everything, in the 70s. It's nothing new. But back then they didn't make a big deal out of it. They just did it. That's the thing.
Sorry, I was just gonna say now they pretend it's new every time, when they had a Black Panther come out and everyone's finally there's a movie that has a black superhero. I'm like, what happened to what about Blade? What about I mean, there's already been like so many female characters, female superheroes, but yeah, they pretend it's like the first time, and that's it's so disingenuous.
Andrew,
I think they sacrifice long-term IP. I think they sacrifice long-term IP value for short-term gains.
Yeah, that's exactly true. That's exactly true.
That's the thing. The industry has been like that since I've been in. One of the things that I noticed is they always chase after these like gold. They always try to capture these brass rings where they decide, oh, hot girls are what everybody wants. So they'll put out like 10,000 bad girl comics. And then zombies is what everybody wants. So they'll put out like 10,000 zombie comics at the same time. And they just like chase after these phantom audiences by just saying everybody wants a comic about mutant animals. So let's do a mutant this and a mutant that.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that people, that's okay. That makes sense to me. And I think Andrew Huerta is going to agree with this. Andrew, you should find out what your audience wants. If they do want mutant animal comics, you should give them mutant animal comics. The thing is, when you are only hiring, aggrieved SJW minority hierarchy, whatever people, creators, for the purpose of making your own self look good, for the purpose of getting a nice write up on some sort of garbage tier left wing website. That's read by people who don't even buy or read comics in the first place. You are not serving your customers. You are serving your own your own ego. I almost cursed, James. I apologize.
No, you're right. I mean, that's the thing, is that it's all about, people are just more interested in putting on an appearance rather than actually thinking about what their business is for. I mean, if your business is for a reason, and if you don't serve the needs of your customers, you're not going to have a business. You're just going to be on the street. These people are destroying, these multi-million-dollar companies are destroying their bottom line, which is just insane. I mean, really, like, why would you destroy your customer base? Why would you try to drive away all your customers? You know, and the industry has done that many times. I got to say, like in the '90s, they were really driving people out of business. I mean, there was so many. The industry in the early '90s was just booming like crazy, and then they just saturated it so much with junk product, where anybody who could draw a straight line could get a job drawing a comic book, and they were just giving jobs to anybody that walked in off the street. And they were just putting out so many bad comics that people just kind of like, and then all these stores crashed because they overbought, 1,000 copies of Spawn #1 or something. I mean, that kind of stuff just damages the customer's faith in the whole business,
Yeah. Andrew Huerta, what are we planning to do?
Short time.
What was that?
Oh, Andrew Huerta, what are we planning to do for 2019? How are we going to fix this? What are you going to do in 2019 to make comics better?
We have to deliver our books and make sure they're the best they can be, because that's the only way things are going to change. Because talking is cool, but until our books reach our backers and actually show these like SJW types, Marvel, or these companies how to do real comic books, then nothing won't change. But when that happens, big things are going to happen. I really believe it.
Andrew Huerta's Sovereign right now is one of the most killer Comicsgate projects that we've got. I'm not sure that you're getting the attention that you deserve, Andrew. And do you know why?
Why?
Because you're humble.
Too humble.
Yeah, you're really humble, man. I mean, your stuff is fantastic. I love the story. I love the art. So different. I think I'm really excited about it, man.
Yeah, me too.
We gotta, yeah. Pan, what do you think, man?
Oh man, I think Cyberfrog and Huerta's Sovereign are probably the top 2 books that I'm looking forward to.
Well, I think now we can add Agenda to that. Agenda actually looks absolutely amazing. But Andrew's right. One thing that we have to do is we have to get these books out. And I know I'm guilty of being behind in my comic. I haven't put it out yet. I am working as hard as I can at getting it out. We need to silence these people. We need to silence these people with excellent comics that actually compete with them face to face, that make people turn around and say, good goddamn, and do a backflip and then a split.
Their books are backed by billion-dollar companies.
Yeah, I know.
We're just like guys in a room.
Yeah, we're rebels.
You're backed by super chats. You're backed by the people.
Yeah, we're backed by
actually here.
All right, so we are backed by super chats. Let me read these super chats and catch up real quick. Let's see. Chris Evans says a Comicsgate live stream. It's a Festivus miracle. That's true. Milk my man tits, which is
Wow.
I love the wow. It's the great guy who's in our chat here. Good day, Merry Christmas, Uncle E, and to anyone watching, if possible, and if you can donate blood this year for Christmas, it's a great gift. Keep up the good work, mate. What about milk from man tits instead of blood? That's also a good gift. Alec Munoz says, Cecil, you need more than one vid every year. Everyone agrees with that.
I'm in talks right now with Kelsey Shannon. We're going to do a comic called Back Rub, and we're already talking about the follow-up, which is called Reach Around. Will be the follow-up.
That is awesome.
Cecil, you got to come out with something, man. I'm waiting.
Yeah, well, this is the year. I'm telling you, Cecil is going to shine this year. He's going to shine. GRP Poll says, "Hail Caesar! I only have so much money to give, but it's all yours." Wow, thanks. James Dean, creator of Conflict, says, "Rock Monster Cecil, make it a cover." Fan artists. So people want to see. James Dean wants to see some fan art of Rock Monster Cecil.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't have to do it, Cecil. Other people are going to do it. Other people are.
Oh, the only thing I can draw is flies.
Okay. Thanos CVS says, "Could I come on? I'll talk pie for 30 seconds, then go." I think we're full. Sorry about that, Thanos EVS. GRP Paul says, "Hail Caesar for he plucks chickens." Mike Jenkins says, "Uncle E, keep your blicky close." Alec Munoz says the Second Amendment is crucial for both defending from other individuals and from the tyranny of a hostile government looking to enslave you. Axie says 7.62 times 39 is for men and 5.56 is for women. Fact. Is that a what is that? Is that a gun? What does this make sense to anyone? 7.62 times 39 is for men and 5.56 is for women. Fact, what does that refer to?
Calibers, it's weapon calibers.
That-
7.62. I think that's a NATO round, right? That's a AK. It's a little bit bigger. 5.16 is a AR-15 or M16 round.
Oh, thank you for clearing that up. I knew it was. All right. So James Dean, creator of Conflict. Numerous people are backing the physical copy of Conflict. Claws out tonight. They're all getting a free sketch. Except Joss. No sketch for Joss Whedon because he likes the word nubile a little too much. Ian House says, did no one see Spectre? You can totally take down a helicopter with a PPK. I don't really. I haven't watched Spectre yet. Edwin the Ace Acevedo says, get Malin to redesign those characters from Agenda. He would make them extra thick. So James Hudnall, if it's okay with you, John Malin is going to do redesigns of all your characters, and he's going to give them fatter asses. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
They don't get enough bread.
Yeah. Carrion Soul says, oh, thanks for $15. What do you guys think about the Patreon mess and its possibility of reaching other crowdfunding sites like Indiegogo or GoFundMe? What do you do when they target the payment processors, MasterCard and PayPal? Yeah, Patreon made a big mistake.
I'm conflicted with them because I have a Patreon and I kind of want to like not do it anymore.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to leave Patreon.
Jordan Peterson and somebody else are creating an alternative to Patreon. Oh yeah, his name's right on the tip of my tongue. But anyway,
Dave Rubin.
Dave.
Yeah, that's it, Dave Rubin. Yeah, they're building their own Patreon type alternative. So I think that's where I'll probably move because I have a Patreon also, and I'll probably move over there.
Yeah, I think most people are going to do that. Patreon actually, I don't know what made them think this was a good idea. I mean, just actually deplatforming somebody as big as Sargon of Akkad, as visible as Sargon of Akkad, made everyone feel nutty. It made everyone feel unstable. You can't do that. You just can't do that. And you're either free speech or you're not free speech. Really, you should just mind your own business if you're something like an organization like Patreon.
Well, the whole point
And
was
he was insulting racist people. He was calling actual racists by the thing they hate.
But how many racists, how many people do you think that they support that are less visible over there at Patreon? You know what I mean? I'm sure they support tons of them. As for what do they do when they target payment processors, MasterCard and PayPal? I don't know yet, but that's coming. Medicare, I was watching the Medicare stream tonight, and he kind of prophesized, and I think he's correct. He just said, look, it's going to get worse and worse. Was it Medicare or was it Tim Pool? Next election. Next election is going to change everything. Leading up to 2020, will we still be able to speak on YouTube? Are these people going to do everything they can to deplatform voices that helped meme supposedly Donald Trump into the presidency?
The culture war is real.
It is real.
It's starting to hit real people too, because even my uncle and some people like the tattoo shop know about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more normal people that start hearing about this stuff and getting pulled into, I think there's going to be many more people on our side of this. And once it looks like that the SJWs are such a smaller group, then more people. I mean, people want to be on the winning side. So right now, it appears to a lot of people that SJWs are bigger than they really are. When in reality, I think the normal people outweigh them so massively. So the more normal people we get into this, the more people will see that we're winning.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that is true. But yeah, we have to be prepared for it. I mean, what do we do? I don't know yet. We'll see when we get there. One bridge at a time. Right now we're just trying to assert ourselves and let them know that we're able to produce great product. I would like to find a way to create our own institutions and be completely independent from SJWs, where they just can't touch us. SJW's worst nightmare is to not be able to bring down community shame on people. That's a huge weapon. If you can possibly be anonymous, maintain your anonymity, or no longer need anything from SJWs, if you can become anti-fragile, and basically, none of their attacks can hurt you, you're not interested in being one of them or accepted by them, that is the worst situation for them. They can't say, they don't know what to do. And I watched this happen with me over at the Star Wars community. They started watching my videos. I criticized one of these Lucasfilm execs who took an idiotic picture of herself drinking from a mug that said "Fanboy Tears." I said, this bitch needs to be fired from Lucasfilm. What are you doing tweeting a picture of yourself with a mug like that? Now, all of a sudden, all of the SJWs from Star Wars, the Star Wars community, came after me like, well, you're not, they tried to threaten me with the idea that they were going to expel me from the Star Wars fandom community. I said, you don't even know who I am, do you? I have nothing to do with your community is ridiculous. I don't have anything to do with you guys. I'm not interested in being a part of your community. You have nothing that you can do to me, and therefore I will continue to say this person needs to be fired from Lucasfilm. Absolutely. So that's, this is how we all have to kind of be. We have to be able to say, to make it so that they have no power over us. And something like this, I mean, if they target the payment processors, that's just going to motivate us to have to find a new way.
Hail Caesar.
We have to find a new
Hail
way.
Daddy Sunday.
Hail.
It's a new world, and if companies refuse to compete, then they'll lose out. So any company that offers competition to these companies they'll be the ones that win, because if those companies try to strangle us and strangle our voice, we'll find a way to get something else. We might be, unable to do anything for a month or two, but companies will spring up to take up the slack. So they can't get away with this. All they're doing is damaging themselves. They're not really. It's just, and ultimately they're going to end up being regulated because they can't get away with the blatant, partisanship that's going on right now.
Well, in the meantime, it gives people, young entrepreneurs, chances to get very, very wealthy. Now, what do you think is going to happen to Jordan Peterson and Dave Rubin when they put together an alternative to Patreon? Are you kidding me? 50%
MasterCard
is going to go over there.
MasterCard to try to cut them off. MasterCard.
Then we'll find another way. They'll continue to find another way.
I pray. I hope so. I hope you're right. I'm pessimistic, but I keep hope. I mean, a pessimistic person is just an optimist that has suffered a lot. I try to keep hope alive, but I do believe Jordan Peterson's a smart guy, and I do believe, I believe there may be hope, but I'm prepared for the worst. I don't know. It looks bleak, but I'm gonna keep hope alive. I don't know how, but I know what they could do, because we have seen Stripe do this kind of thing. We have seen MasterCard go after people. So if MasterCard can bend for the left, and Visa, you got to find a way.
Well, there would have to be another independent, a smaller credit card company that would rise up. And then again, it's an opportunity for someone to get bigger.
This is the perfect time for Diners Card International to step up.
Discover, absolutely. Why not?
Yeah, or we'll do like in Fight Club, right? And the credit card companies.
Yeah. Cryptocurrency.
I remember that.
Lead the way, bro.
Yeah.
I've got to jump out. Thanks for having me, Ethan. Really appreciate it. Everyone, have a Merry Christmas.
Merry pleasure. Everyone, please go and subscribe to Sweetcast. It is a great YouTube channel. And thank you so much, Clint from Sweetcast. Thank you for joining me tonight, and all of our guests. Appreciate you.
Great.
Hail
Thank you.
Sweetcast.
Hail, brother.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Yeah.
And of course, somebody else can come in and take his place if you'd like. Let me go ahead and keep reading these super chats if you guys don't mind. And I'm sure they'll lead to discussion. Except for this one. Boag says, "Have a merry Hashir Soi your yo Kazai no you ni Tsukami Harawo Paduru." And I'm sure I just told someone to go F their mother. I don't know what that means.
No, Padaru is Jingle Bells or something.
It's a Christmas song.
Jingle Bells.
I'm sure I just told someone to go after their mother. I don't know what that means. Why can I hear myself? Who is it? It's Nathan. Nathan, put on headphones, buddy.
Hey.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
All right, good. All right, I just heard myself and it was weird. It was really, really weird. But yeah, Nathan Brendan Masters is here from Timecode
What's
Mechanics.
happening, guys?
What are you doing?
Hello.
Hey,
Merry
man.
Christmas.
All right, so let me read more of these. Nathan, I'm reading super chats. We'll say hello to you in a minute here. All right, let's see. CD says you guys should check out my column Indiegogo. They have amazing multimedia approach to comics with actual voice actors. It's like Metal Slug meets comics. And then he gives a link that says Indiegogo Projects column. So go to column on Indiegogo. Kyung Lee says on behalf of Murakami Kumo Comics, Merry Christmas, everyone. Have fun and be safe this week. And check out Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb on Indiegogo. Liam says, I put the Zodiac Killer code on the private Mensa forums, and we're pretty sure he screwed up his own code. Don't think they can be deciphered. LOL. He outsmarted Mensa, maybe. James Dean, creator of Conflict, says, one CG creator does have a connection to a serial killer. Artist Eric Weathers once had his dog put down by BTK, who was a compliance officer. Effed up. That's crazy. Typo Comics says, I'm diverse as fuck, half Indian, half not. Who gives a damn? Give a damn about my comic instead. Bad Sushi Canon on Indiegogo. 170 pages of hand-drawn comic book pages is more interesting than my genetics, I assure you. Jeff Meyer says, man, Stephen Bissett and John Toddleben used to hammer out Swamp Thing on a monthly basis, and the art was gorgeous. It can be done. Alan Moore's writing didn't hurt, of course. James Dean, creator of Conflict, says, I went to school with a girl whose mom was killed in front of her by the BTK, so he got around the comic community. She was nearly killed too. Never smiled. Modern feminists now act exactly the same. They act like victims of imaginary crime. Watermelon Platypus says, Cyberfunk's success shows the importance of high-end art that the old industry eschewed in favor of cost-cutting and virtue signaling. Back agenda. Boom. Amen. Clausen LT, thanks for a $5 donation. Steve Yen, thanks for $5. Great. You're making money off super chats. More power to you. November to February change is serious. Misstep. Refund possible. I'm a dissatisfied customer. Steve Yen, absolutely. If you send me on an email your order number and your PayPal, I will be happy to refund you. James Dean, creator of Conflict, Tim Pool has lost over $5,000 a month on Patreon. Watermelon Platypus says, what if Peterson and Rubin's platform includes crowdfunding?
They're still working out the details, so it's hard to say.
That'd be interesting. Pocket Jacks Comics says, would love to come on the show to discuss Guinevere and the Divinity Factor currently on Indiegogo. Yeah, well, Pocket Jacks Comics, I want to have you on solo. We've talked to you quite a bit. So yeah, absolutely. Chris Sketch says, Merry Christmas all. Have a great and safe holiday. James Dean, creator of Conflict, says, Trump signed the Farm Bill legalizing industrial hemp production. We need hemp comics, our own distro and crowdfunding platform. Let's do this. Zatoki's Cane Sword says, they already purged themselves. It's Commie 101. TLJ Screwjob says, these SJWs profligate days are numbered. Jesse N says, Uncle Ehe, you got me fired up. Going to curl 110 pounds on a curling bar. Good for you. JM says, this isn't the SJWs. It's corporate leadership and ownership are filled with progressives, especially Silicon Valley. They see SJWs as just enthusiastic, youthful versions of themselves. How wrong they fucking are. Mega Jetty 1 says, reworking Superman meets Myth and MJ goes to Hollywood Mysteries. TLJ Screwjob says, hey, Cecil, ask Doomcock about doing a Doom Dick stream with you. He said he would be interested.
Oh, sure. I mean, I've only spoke with him a few times, but we got along fine. I would do that.
Yeah. You guys would be terrific together. All right. So, Nathan Brendan Masters, you have a channel called Timecode Mechanics. Are you Comicsgate?
Yeah. Yes, I love the whole Comicsgate thing, and I'm definitely a supporter of Comicsgate. I love what you guys are talking about. I am, I guess, what they would call an anti-SJW. I guess that's what they used to call people. Like, I'm a middle of the roader. So I'm not a person. I'm not a far left person, not a far right person. I want to do the things that make sense and not all this stupid stuff that's happening right now. So
I agree with you. Let me run through who's in the chat right now for people who's on the stream. Andrew Huerta. Hey, Andrew.
Hello.
Comics Girl Ava. who
Hello,
has herself
hello.
muted.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Cecil from Cecil Says.
Hello.
Gateway into Comics.
Hey, everyone.
James Hudnall, comic book writer, creator of Agenda.
Hey, how's it going?
Panboy Lando Dongchild Soy Lover from the War Campaign.
Hail, Merry Christmas.
Ro Kabir from the War Campaign.
Hail, brother.
Sketch Therapy, our friend, he's a customer.
Hail, brothers.
Nathan Brendan Masters, who is the guy behind a good YouTube channel called Timecode Mechanics, which I always find very interesting. I've wanted to have him on for a little while.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I've had some streaming troubles, and I think they're fixed now, but I'm not sure. It's like every time I go to stream, it's like a problem happens. It's a different problem than the last time. So hopefully that's the end of those problems.
Oh, I hope
sound
so.
good right now, at least.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So being anti SJW right now is almost the equivalent of being anti comics or being pro Comicsgate. You know, if you are anti SJW at this point and you care about comics, let me reverse that. If you care about comics, I mean, genuinely care about comics right now, you are anti SJW.
Yeah.
So that meant all or nothing.
Right. It's really odd how all this stuff happened. It's like, see, I had two channels. I had one channel that I used to do kind of political commentary, like it was political and, you know, basic kind of YouTube commentary type stuff. And I kind of got bored with it because it was kind of like doing, you know, you're almost saying the same thing over and over and over, and it was just kind of me talking, and I really wanted to get back into the art stuff, and you know, came back to my Timecode Mechanics channel, and then I started hearing about all the stuff that was happening in comic books. I was just like, "What are you kidding?" And I started drawing my books and stuff again, and just hearing all this stuff, I'm like, no, I gotta get my stuff out here now. This is ridiculous. So yeah, I heard about Comicsgate, and I started with I actually started listening to Captain Cummings, and then he turned me on to Diversity in Comics, and from there on, I learned about this channel from DNC, and I just loved every minute of it.
When did you start your channel?
My channel started like a few years ago, like 2011, I think, or somewhere around in there. 2011, 2012, somewhere. So I've been around for a while. My channel is actually it's film and comic books, film and art and comics and vlogs. So I have it's kind of a scatterbrained channel, but those are the three things I try to really do there. Really try to stay on point with over there.
Oh, that's really cool. I want to ask everybody in the chat right now if you have anything to plug tonight. Andrew Huerta, do you want to plug?
Oh yeah, I have my comic book Sovereign that's currently live on Indiegogo. I think there's 9 more days. I'm just trying to hit 20,000. I already passed my goal, but I would just like to hit 20,000 so I can get all the backers a bigger, better book. So if you guys can check that out, it's all the stuff I love from the 90s, action, comic books, anime, manga. Just want to bring back that craziness because there's none of it out there right now. So yeah, if you guys check it out, please back it if you can.
Yeah, Sovereign right now is at 17,466. I want to show off what this is because I'm a fan of this project. You know that. This is Sovereign by Andrew Huerta. The ultimate being and an 8-year-old slave. Together, they set out on a quest to save the planet. Art, it looks fantastic. Obviously, this is a big Comicsgate success story. And if you haven't yet backed Andrew Huerta's Sovereign, I really want you to do that. I mean, the link is in the chat right now. Everybody's posting the link to it. Go have a look at it and see what you want to do. See if you want to back this project and give Andrew the support to make this comic book work and also to offer some really good stretch goals and perks and things like that to people. But go through and see what he has to offer. This book looks absolutely awesome. It just looks awesome to me, Andrew.
Thank you.
You're an impressive lad. You know that?
You know, the funny thing with this whole the SJW stuff and the diversity and all these people complaining, instead of me whining, because I also went through the same thing. Like, I think we all did. Like, some of us have a longer road to take. Some guys get on books easy, and some guys it takes 10 years to break in. And I was one of those guys that just struggled for years. And instead of crying online and complaining about like my skin color or whatever it may be, I just got better and better and better. Like, my goal was to just prove these editors wrong and to show them that they messed up, and they did. So,
well, yeah, I think people are really going to take even more notice of you after this book. So everyone check out Sovereign, please. I would love to get Sovereign to $20,000. I think that'd be great. And you have 8 days left, so 8 days is pretty good. Yeah. I think you're going to get way past that, to be honest with you. Way past that. All right. So also, let's see who else is in the chat. Rokabir, do you want to plug something?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that right now my most interesting stuff that I've been looking at is James Dean Anderson's Conflict. I mean, this guy can do sequential art. He's got, if you check out the pages he's put up on his Indiegogo, you really can see that he knows how to make a story flow just from the panel to panel art that he's got up there. It reminds me the most of the 90s stuff. And Sovereign really is something unique. I mean, his art style, if you put it up there, a screenshot or a screen share what you got there, and you scroll down, Caesar, you'll see his that unique style that he brings, which is sort of like a graffiti inspired work. I mean, Andrew, maybe you should talk a bit about that so people know where you're coming from.
Yes. Well, I grew up on just like all the other stuff a lot of people did, like, comic book, Marvel, Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane. I grew up on all those guys. Also, I was also fascinated with Dragon Ball and Guyver and anime like Akira and Ninja Scroll and all those things. And then there was a period in my life where I kind of I said, screw comic books, because nothing was happening. So I started hanging around with the wrong crowd and got into graffiti. And once you get into graffiti, it's like no one tells you, it becomes super addictive. So I just did that for a few years. And then after I got in trouble a couple of times, I had to stop doing graffiti. And I went back into comic books. And before you know it, my style changed drastically. And that's where it came from.
Beautiful. Good.
I call it electric. I think it's electric. It's so energetic. I don't know. It's the best way I can describe it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it's unique.
I just donated to it.
Thank you, man. And I'm gonna get Agenda, so you got mine too.
I mean, Pan, I think it's got that, that Kirby crackle. Like, that was something new. I think you got something new. It's really unique. It's new, man. It feels fresh.
Yeah, I feel like Jack Kirby is what's missing in comic books. You know what I mean? Like, his energy, his imagination, his goal, his fun. It's like there's nothing like it. So I'm trying to bring back that wonder back into comic books.
Wonderful, magnificent. Also, so while you're backing Sovereign, subscribe to Andrew Huerta's YouTube channel. Subscribe to Rokabir Kumar as well, especially if you want to go and enjoy the War Campaign live streams, which are hilarious. I'm sorry, they are funny. I want to blame you for everything, Rokabir, but
blame War Campaign.
Blame him. Blame War Campaign.
Blame Pan. He's Poe.
Blame Poe.
I'll blame Poe. Yeah, Poe. Poe is probably guilty of a few things. So I want anyway. Okay, so Cecil, do you have something you want to plug?
Well, you know me, I'll plug anything with a pulse. But but I saw Mike Miller in the chat, so I would like to plug James Dean Conflict.
All right. So
James Dean and his wife just had a baby. So Merry Christmas to James and his new family members.
And also Mike Anger's Black Forest. I saw Peter Gilmore. He was showing his sketches of the cover, which look amazing. He's doing a cover. So Black Forest and Conflict, and I guess
Yes.
that Meg thing that Mike is doing as well.
Yeah. This is Conflict right here by James Dean. James Dean is going to have to come on the show pretty soon. The book looks really, really good. That takes a little while to graduate.
See, Ro is on the cover there. That's Ro right there. Look on
Where?
the right. That's him. Look at him. Ro right there on the cover.
Oh, there he is, right here. That's
There
Ro
it is.
Kabir. Ro Kabir
Wow.
Kumar. I
How much
love
you
it.
pay for that, bro?
Oh man, you know what? I'm humbled, man. I'm really humbled. Comicsgate is amazing. It's incredible. People are astonishing. Passion for drawings here. He's done so much art for everybody. We got Betty doing fantastic memes. You know, Mike Anger doing the memes. I mean, these people are talented. It's humbling.
Yeah, it really is humbling for incredible artists like us to be a part of this community. It's very humbling. We have the very best talent with Comicsgate, very best creators. We have James Hudnall with us. We've got Andrew Huerta. We've got Cecil. We've got, to a lesser extent, Mike S. Miller. We've got some really, really incredible people with Comicsgate, and I think it's a pretty, it is a humbling thing, isn't it? But more than that, it inspires you to want to work harder. It inspires you to want to do better stuff. When I see this, when I see Sovereign, when I see Conflict Claws Out by James Dean Anderson, I just want to do better. All right, let's see here. Where did the chat go? Are you guys here?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. Yeah, I lost the chat. Okay. Screen share, stop sharing. There you go. Maybe it's getting late. Maybe I'm tired. Watermelon Platypus, thanks for $20. James Dean is the highest end of Comicsgate. Thank you, James, for everything. Thank you for Conflict. Claws Out. You being cool to the customers and making a cool comic is why we're all here. A lot of people love James Dean. Super guy. He visits the war campaign a lot. He's fun to watch. He's great. Gateway into Comics. You want to plug your channel?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, I kind of just want to mention first Sovereign. I've already backed that. I'm definitely gonna back Agenda. They both look really good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really excited to get my hands on those for sure. So I kind of started out just really wanting to talk about the writing process for people who are new to storytelling. I think I've probably written about 14 short stories, and 10 of them were really, really bad over the course of maybe 5 to 10 years. And so I started getting better a couple years ago, and I made some submissions. I'm really, really enjoying the comic scripting process, and it's kind of new to me. Storytelling is not. So I'm really looking forward to getting this first project done, and I'm taking my time with it. But I just go through my writing process for the most part on my channel and kind of lay it out for Comicsgaters specifically. And I guess people can come and look at my channel that aren't Comicsgate, but they're not going to enjoy it because all I do is talk smack about NPCs and SJWs while I'm at it. So
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Gateway into Comics is a fun channel. I do go there every day and watch your videos. I appreciate what you're doing.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, subscribe, man. Subscribe to Gateway into Comics. All right, so James Hudnall's Agenda. We've been talking about that tonight. Everyone go and back Agenda. James, can you give us a quick rundown about what Agenda is about, please?
Yeah, before I do that, I just want to say I have a YouTube channel, Esper999. I'm doing a series of videos about the creative process in writing. It's called Creative Secrets, and I'm up to episode 12 so far, so please check it out and subscribe to my channel. Anyway, the Agenda is about superheroes in the real world. What if a world just like ours, but what if there was no pre-existing superheroes? Instead of having superheroes in the 40s, what if there were no superheroes? So I'm reinventing superheroes from the ground up as if they never existed. And it's in a world very much like our own. And it's about 6 people who have the power to change the world. But in changing the world, there's unforeseen consequences. And it's all about the individual agendas of each character and how everyone has an agenda and everyone thinks they're the hero of their own story. And what are the repercussions of anyone's actions? And it's also a mystery about how these people got their powers and so far, the motivations and everything. So it's a book where I'm really trying to do some interesting stuff and explore a lot of themes that I don't personally feel have been fully explored as well as they could have been in comics. I mean, I got into business in the 80s when there was a lot of creators saying they're doing realistic comics, but I didn't think they were realistic. Even at Watchmen, I thought wasn't that realistic, but because they just had a kind of a limited concept of how things would play out in the real world. Whereas I'm trying to take a broader perspective on it. So yeah, that's
Nuance.
what agenda. What's that?
Nuance. It sounds like
Yeah.
we'll have nuance. It's not telling you who's good, who's bad. It's like, look, this is how things play out, with a little nuance.
That's exactly
I like
it. And it's, it's sort of like Game of Thrones, like in that respect. But also, I basically, I want to show that, I want to show things that are generally not talked about because, our culture and the media and stuff are trying to tell us what's important. And I sort of like focus on things that I think are important, which the media generally tries to downplay. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to do. So like, if I felt like, what if I was a superhero, what would I want to change? Well, I would want to change political corruption. I'd want to stop human trafficking. I'd want to, affect all these kind of things. There's a lot of things that I talk about in here that generally don't get touched in comics, or they just get touched in a way that's not realistic. So, these characters are serious about what they want to do. It's not just, people trying to punch each other. There's actual like serious things that go on. So that's one of the goals of my book, is to do a superhero that's totally different than what people are expecting, and yet keep it interesting and surprising. I really like comics that really engage you, and you just can't wait till the next episode. It's been so long since I've read comics like that, and I want to create that kind of thing, and I want to get people excited again.
Awesome. Thank you so much, James, for being here.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. All right, let me just run through everybody else. Let's see if you guys want to plug anything. Ava, do you want to plug your channel?
It's Comic Girl Ava, and I just talk about the culture war against SJW culture, and then also I am gonna focus more on some back issues of comics and just kind of go over that, and maybe even do kind of like a chat with other people, and kind of like an internet book club of the back issue comics as well. So just follow me on Twitter and follow on YouTube, Comic Girl Ava.
Comic Girl Ava, everyone, subscribe. Pam Boy, do you want to plug your channel?
Yeah, I'm with War Campaign. Me and Ro are with a group of guys that do a show, and we have artists like Andrew Huerta on. We like to promote the good guys, comic skaters, and we like to talk a lot of shit. So check us out.
Wonderful.
Yeah. We better say something about Praetorian. I got to say this, Caesar. I mean, this guy, he's going to have my neck. Otherwise, he's going to corrupt me with like some piano string or something. So here we go. This is his channel. He started doing some YouTube. I just pasted that in there. That's Praetorian. I'm scared of him. You should be too.
Yeah, he's doing some video game streams, playing games with Sierra Whiskey and Gat Hanzo and some of our boys. So
those guys are fun. Okay. So subscribe to Pam Boy as well. Subscribe to. Does the War Campaign have its own channel, or is it?
Yeah. Subscribe. Don't subscribe to me. Subscribe to the War Campaign channel, guys. So thank you.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you, Caesar, for having me on, and Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Time Code Mechanics. Nathan Brendan Masters. You want to plug your channel?
Oh, sure. Time Code Mechanics is right here on YouTube, of course, and we do films, comics, things of that nature. And check out our website, nightphoenixpress.com, and that's where all my comic books are. A lot of those are my older books. I'm coming out with newer stuff next year, and I'll probably have an Indiegogo coming next year as well for Victor Locke Demon Hunter, which is our kind of like our main character. So,
damn, that sounds cool. That sounds really cool, man. Nathan, we'll get you in here at the beginning of one of these streams. You kind of came in at the tail end. Sorry about that, but we'll, you're now in the, where you're at. You know the whole deal. So you'll be able to come in earlier next time. Sketch Therapy, is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I'm usually when I do a show, I do it on World Class Bullshitters. We got a couple of shows coming up. You can see previous shows. I was in the fan film show. I run around 3 or 4 comic shows on there. I got a couple of shows coming up with that Umbrella Guy. And I want to recommend Nick Rekieta. I mean, if you want to be in tune about the effects that we're having, not the president, because not president as like commander in chief, but the presidents that are being set in law and how these cases play out. You can see it on that channel. It covers a lot of Comicsgate stuff. I want to recommend, of course, my friends in the war campaign. And I do my congregation is Cross Examinations with Mike Miller. So get his book. You can play in the wings of an angel when you back that comic, because it's like you're supporting a whole clan. He has like 10, 20 children. So it's a wonderful thing you can do. Just back his book and stuff. And
Merry
I also
Christmas,
have
Mike Miller.
on my own channel, I have an interview with Waterman and Platypus. It's like my first interview, you can. He's a good guy. He's real nice to me. He's real good on Nick Rekieta. So you can hear a little bit about you can hear about him there.
Oh,
thank you so much.
He's a great guy. I would like to send him a Merry Christmas. Him and of course Bagel Goose.
Probably are they the same? They're the same person, aren't they? Or no?
I don't think so.
God, it's so weird. I'm sure they're not you now. I thought
no, they're not. And did you see Donut Swan? I sent him his girlfriend said all he wanted for Christmas was a autographed copy of Squirrel Girl by me. So I actually sent that to them. And then he responded, and he's like a professional poker player out in Vegas, and he responded with a couple tweets.
That is
funny.
That blows my mind. It's hilarious. All right, a couple more super chats real quick. James Dean, creator of Conflict, says, thanks to all of you for all the kind support of Conflict. Humbling. Can't wait for Sovereign, Cyberfrog, and Rainbow Brute. He's backing Agenda tonight. Thank you, James, for all your super chats, for your participation in this group, in this movement. You're vital, obviously, and our private interactions are inspiring about what to do, design, and all that stuff as well. So I look forward to 2019, getting to know you a little bit better. Obelisk Titian, thanks for $2.99. I have an idea for a comic about a minion of a bad guy, and that's all we get there. But thank you so much, Obelisk, for joining us. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks to all my guests. I love each and every one of you. I can say that because Nasser isn't a part of the stream. So just across the board,
Kick Nasser.
Love you all. Love everybody who's in the chat tonight. Guys, Merry Christmas. I think I don't know if I can't prompt. Oh my God. Watermelon Platypus, $100.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Much like Cecil himself, I am not Bagel Goose. Merry Christmas, Ethan. Thank you for Comicsgate. Don't be conflicted here. Okay, I won't. Thank you. Wow.
He's really nice to me.
I think he's Elon Musk, but whatever.
That was
Watermelon Platypus.
Yeah, hail. Thank you for $100.
Hail, brother.
Very generous of you. All right, so what else I want to say? Merry Christmas to all of you. I don't know if we'll be able to do a live stream tomorrow, family stuff. But if I can, I will. And if not, I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas with your families. And we will definitely be in touch, having fun in between Christmas and New Year's as well. Every one of my guests, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Hail
Everybody.
Caesar.
Hail Daddy Sunday.
All right. Good night.